Members of the North Carolina Tar Heels, head coach Scott Forbes, student athletes Gavin Gallagher, Owen Hole, and Jackson Rose. Gentlemen, congratulations on advancing to the finals. And Coach, we'll start with an opening statement from you.
Yeah, that sip of that Coke was for Coach Williams. He's one of the first texts I looked at. I want to congratulate West Virginia. Heck of a team, heck of a run they made, very well coached. They just played the game the right way. That's a credit to their coaching staff. They come at you a lot of ways, a lot of speed, deep pitching staff, so we really had to work in those two games to beat them. And I've been in their shoes. I know what that feels like, and it's a stinker, but, man, they got a lot to be proud of, and they should be extremely proud of how they represented their university. Moving on, I thought Jackson Rose came in, silenced him pretty quick. I thought he was outstanding. We were joking before the game today, like, man, we need to have one of those games where we get like 15 hits and score some runs. So thankfully that happened. I thought our guys, were ready. I felt like they were going after it. We talked about being in the moment, not counting outs, and just playing like a little leaguer and having a blast doing so. And how can you not? I mean, this is unbelievable. We're at the College World Series. We talk about it's an honor and a privilege to wear our uniform at University of North Carolina, but it's also an honor and a privilege to be here playing on that field. I want our guys to feel that. I want them to play with joy and have a blast playing together. So they did that, and the fact that they did that, obviously we had one bad inning, but I don't care about that bad inning. I could care less. We're playing in a national championship, and I'm excited for these guys, and I'll just keep jumping on their backs and watch them when we start playing on Saturday.
Open it up to questions for the student athletes.
Mario Bonham, Tar Heel Tribune. Gavin and Owen, can you talk about the lineup switch? It seemed to work out pretty well for both of you.
Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I think that it's a matchup thing. They had a righty start on the mound. But, yeah, that's a question for him. He does what he feels is right, and today it worked out.
Go to Mark in the second row.
Mark Garland, Just Baseball Media. Jackson, tell us a little bit what it means to be able to go out there and toe the rubber for these guys and then have perfect defense behind you and how confident that makes you to go out there and pitch pitches.
I mean, no, it's great. Like, being able to pitch out here as a freshman and be able to wear Carolina, it's like a dream, to be honest. And then playing with these guys in the field, if you get ahead, you don't got to worry about the defensive side, and it's awesome.
Noah Beanick, 11.7. Question for Owen and Gavin. You guys as a lineup today as a whole were raking, but especially at the top of the order. What was kind of your scouting report and game plan against both Chance and Cole and Ian Korn? That duo has been super tough for most teams throughout the year.
Scouting report's secret, but as a lineup as a whole, we try to stick to the process of not letting our at-bats carry into each other. The first thing Coach told us in our pregame meeting out in outfield was that we want our compete factor at the top, and that's what we focused on, and being default aggressive. So those were the two things that we really focused on today, and I think it worked out pretty well.
Spencer Haskell, Inside Carolina for Gavin. You're a guy that's been here for 3 years. You've experienced the ups and the downs that, the postseason can bring. What does it mean to, be able to play for a national championship come Saturday?
I still think it really hasn't set in yet. After the game, shook hands and just kind of walking around, looking up in the stands, looking at my family, and just kind of speechless, to be honest. We were here in 24, ran into two good teams, came close, and then last year we're one inning away from being in Omaha again, and so that really hurt. So to be back here, win our first 3 games, be in a national championship, it's something that, it's truly amazing.
Monty Taylor, Just Baseball. Jackson, you kind of you weren't getting a ton of playing time early on in the season, but that Campbell game kind of puts you on the map. And then since then, you've been an integral part of the rotation or the bullpen. What's that ride kind of been like? And then getting to this moment, even though you haven't pitched in a hot second.
I mean, all of us pitchers, we know, like, it's one game away from getting our number called and getting an opportunity like the Campbell game that I got. And it's just going in every day, working as hard as I can, because not letting the opportunity pass by. So that's it.
Wilson Moore, the Omaha World Herald. Gavin, just what do you think are the lessons from that 2024 run that had you prepared this year, and what were you able to apply through these first 3 games?
Yeah, I think the experience was really good. Getting those at bats, knowing what to expect with how the stadium plays. This year it's played quite the opposite that it did in 24. The ball's been flying, but knowing like how the shadows work when they get to that 6 o'clock game. It's been a lot easier to adjust this year, which has been really nice. And so just trying to, take that experience, use it for myself, and also try to help out some of the other guys that haven't been here before. And, it's been easier to adapt this year.
Noah Weisskopf with Tar Heel 24/7. For Owen, Carter out there said that you watch a ton of film in the hotel room. How much confidence does your film watching and your study before the game give you to then go into the game and do what you did today?
I can't believe you told you one of my secrets, but yes, I do my homework on the pitches before the game, and I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but yeah, you got to do your homework if you want to do well at school. Yeah.
We're going to take one more for the student athletes.
Question for Gavin and Owen. Owen, given your sense of your secretiveness, you may not want to answer this, but Gavin, you mentioned the shadows and just how the park plays. Can you kind of give us a sense of the difference between day game, night game, shadows, the batting eye, all those things?
Yeah. It is tough. There's no excuses to be made at all, but it's just something that you have to deal with. So, you get to that early innings and those later games, the shadows are starting to creep onto the pitcher's mound. Sometimes the guy's releasing it from the light, and then it's going straight into the shadow in the dark, and then sometimes you got that that timing where there's another window of light on the way to home plate. And so, it's tough, but yeah, at the end of the day, both teams are dealing with it. So, you just got to go out there and compete, and, there's no excuses to be made.
Gavin, Owen, Jackson, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you guys.
Job, Ozone.
Okay, we're going to open it up to questions for Coach. Start right up front.
Andrew Idell, College Baseball Central. Coach, you mentioned the 06 run, but first time since 07. Have you seen any similarities from those 06, 07 teams?
A lot, yeah. Togetherness. That 06 team, they loved each other. They had a lot of fun together. This team's the same. I picked up on that. They're a tough group. They want to win. They put winning first. Over everything else, and that team did that. So there's a ton of similarities. I can't wait to text back the 06 text chain group that I'll get, and there'll be some hilarious texts. But that's why you coach. But they do have a lot of similarities, built similar type teams, and I'm glad that I was there and can look back on that and hopefully use that to help us a little bit.
The player said to ask you. So what about the lineup switches and drop and make into the 8-hole? Gavin seemed to unlock something with that switch.
Yeah. Scott Jackson. That's why I changed the lineup. I got a text. I'd already made the lineup last night. I've done all my prep. I dug in pretty hard, but I told him to dig in a little bit more. He must have dug in more this morning. Got a text me. Him and Weirs just text each other about the lineup. We have a 3-way text. He said, I really think we might want to consider this because of how good the starter and Korn, who we thought we would see 1-2, have been against right-handed hitters, and they thought it was a really tough at bat. So we wanted to try to pressure them more. So eventually I just said, all right, they were going back and forth with a bunch of different lineups. I said, just send me the daggum lineup, and I'm going to write whatever you guys tell me. So it was a credit to Scott Jackson and Jesse Wiersbicki.
Noah Darling, CBC. Coach, saw you stop by JR's bench this morning. How does his name continue to live on in this program?
Yeah, man. His family's here. The older you get a lot more perspective. You try to help your players have perspective while we do a lot of things, community service, Children's Hospital, Miracle League. But I told JR's parents, a couple years ago when we lost him, that I know it seems like that he was affected the most, but he affected the players the most. And, he was just a member of our team and miss him dearly, but got a picture by his bench yesterday. Me, Mandy, Hannah, and Allie went by it. And, I'm just thankful that I got to know JR and the fact that he lived life like he did, and I can see that big smile. He'd be so excited right now, but I know he's excited looking down on us.
Tommy Ashley, Inside Carolina. Coach, obviously started Folger today. Jackson comes in. How much of that decision went into what guys are comfortable doing? We've talked about it a lot this season, starting versus relieving.
Yeah, I felt great about Folger Boaz. When you have a deep bullpen, and as a head coach, if you see something that you don't like and you feel like it's a key part of the game, it just is what it is, and it's never personal, and our players know it's not personal. And I thought he had good stuff, but I had the pitch come in. I know where the pitches are called. I just felt like we needed to make a change right there. But that did go into the thought process. We thought, okay, we can piece this thing together. We don't need Folger Boaz to go 5 innings. Maybe one time through the lineup, maybe get us into the 4th. But again, every out is vital. And that was a hard game to win. They made a run at us. We didn't make a couple plays. And I told Folger, hey, you still got us 3 outs, man. So keep your confidence. He's going to have to pitch for us to win this national championship. But it definitely, we like Rose coming out of the bullpen if at all possible.
Mitch Sherman, the athletic coach, following up on the answer about the 06 team and 07. When you came back to Carolina at that time as the pitching coach, can you comment on what your perspective was about having the opportunity to play for a national championship in those 2 years versus what it is almost 20 years later, having waited all this time?
Yeah, I'm trying not to get emotional up here because just thinking about that team and Coach Fox giving me the opportunity to get back here, I wasn't the popular hire at the time. There were a lot bigger names. I'd never been a pitching coach, but Coach Fox saw something in me and gave me that opportunity. And I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I realized pretty quickly after being there and watching bullpens for probably 3 days that the best thing I can do for this team as the pitching coach is maybe to instill some confidence, because when you're rolling Andrew Miller, Daniel Bard, Robert Woodard, Andrew Kerrigan, Matt Danford, Jonathan Hovis, you got to have some feel and just get the heck out of the way. So that's what I tried to do. And, I owe that the whole team. I tell them all the time, I owe them my career, because those pitchers, you talk about Andrew Miller, and Daniel Bard, they're 2 of the top prospects in the country, and they got a guy coming in there that's never been a pitching coach, and they didn't act like that. Robert Woodard as well, all those guys, they took me in. I learned more from them that first year. So I always tell them, just thank you for you guys for believing in me, because I honestly had no idea what I was doing. I was around Roger Williams, a great pitching coach, but I was a catcher, and I felt like I could call a decent game. But when it came to mechanics and all that stuff, I just started reading books and then trying to be quiet and not say anything to those guys because they were so talented.
Joe Healy, D1 Baseball. How important was it to get this done and win your bracket in 3-0 fashion as opposed to messing around with the if necessary game?
Yeah, that's the goal. I told the coaches today, said, listen, I'm going for it. And if we have a chance to win this game, the only guy, and that was still debatable in my mind. I told DeCaro, if I tell you to put your spikes on, you know what that means. Because I know how hard it is to win a game. You get a big lead like that. And you want those 2 days if you can get them. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to win, but you have a pitching staff like ours. If you can recover and you can get tomorrow to also get a lift in. It's funny you said that, because my wife we were talking about being in Omaha, and she remembers the first year very much because we had some off days. And then she also remembers 07 because we lost, and it just felt like we were playing every single day to get back to the national championship. So you want to recover. You want to have a little bit of rest. The guys use these last 2 days really well. They're focused. And I've already done it. I believe that we were going to win today, and we have a plan, and we'll stay with that plan the next 2 days to be ready to play Saturday.
We have time for just one more question.
Rod Baxley, Fayetteville Observer. Scott, this offense has been pretty doggone good all year, but how do you describe what you saw from them today?
I agree with that, and they don't get any credit. Every question's about the pitching staff, and I hope that's the case, and I hope it keeps being the case, because they play with an edge, and I use that as much as I possibly can. But, you look at a guy like Carter French, steps up there. He's got to be the best 240 hitter in the country, in my opinion. Gets on base. He rolls the lineup over. He's not scared. And we've had some guys struggling, but it's been, to me, the common theme on this team is obviously Owen's been Owen, and we've had some guys that have been unbelievable. But we've had different guys step up in big moments. You just look at our RBIs. A lot of guys are getting close to 60 distributed throughout the order. Then you got Tyler Howe, who he has the least amount of RBIs besides French, but he still gets big hits and gets on base, and then he scores. So I think there's length to it. I also think we got some other guys that did not get at bats these 3 games, but I got a hunch that they're going to come up big for us and they'll be ready.
That marks the end of this press conference. Coach, we appreciate your time. And a reminder that we'll have